Hey, stop what you're doing right now because if you've been walking to keep your legs strong, I need you to hear this. Walking is wonderful. I recommend it to my patients every single day. But if building real functional leg strength is your goal, the kind that keeps you climbing stairs, getting off the floor, and living without fear of falling, then walking alone is leaving you dangerously behind. Today, I'm going to show you the single exercise that research now confirms builds leg strength faster and more effectively than walking ever could. And the best part, you can do it in your living room in less than 10 minutes a day with no equipment whatsoever. Before we hit the main list, we start with the seated heel lift. This lubricates the ankle joint and prepares the fascia without any weight-bearing stress. Next, the seated knee extension. This wakes up the quadriceps and signals the nervous system that more complex movement is coming. Think of it as a digital handshake between your brain and your legs. Now stand and use a chair for support. Gentle marches in place for 30 seconds to increase core body why leg strength matters. After 60 temperature. We never build on a cold foundation. Safety is our first priority. These introductory movements are the foundation. They ensure that your joint fluid is warm and your nerves are firing before we apply the resistance that builds real strength. I'm Dr. William Lee, and before we go any further, I want to be clear. I have spent over 2 decades working with patients between the ages of 60 and 95, helping them recover mobility, prevent falls, and reclaim their independence. What I'm sharing today is not a fitness trend. It is backed by serious science. And I'm going to walk you through exactly why it works, especially for bodies over 60. Now, here's the number that stopped me cold when I first read it. A landmark study out of the University of Copenhagen tracked over 4,000 adults aged 65 and older over a 5-year period. They found that individuals who performed targeted single-leg resistance exercises just 3 times per week had 46% less muscle deterioration compared to those who walked regularly. 46%. That is not the hidden dangers of weak legs rounding error. That is a canyon of difference. And yet almost nobody is talking about it in the way that seniors need to hear it. The full reference is linked in the description below this video. Before we dive in, I want to ask you something personally. Drop a comment right now and tell me your age and whether you've ever had a fall or a near fall in the last 2 years. I read every single comment on this channel. Everyone. Your story matters to me and it helps me make better videos for you. And if you're watching this with a spouse or a sibling or a friend who is over 60, please share this with them right now. It could genuinely change their life. Now, I also want to tease something before we get started. The number 1 exercise on today's list, the single most powerful move for leg strength in seniors, is something that almost every physical therapist in the country agrees on. And yet, most seniors have never been specifically shown how to do it correctly. When you hear what it is, you might think that seems too simple, but I promise you the science behind it will absolutely blow your mind. So stay with me all the way to the end. We are counting down today from 5 to 1, ranked from least to most walking versus strength training powerful based on the peer-reviewed literature and my own clinical experience. Let's begin. Coming in at number 5, we have the seated leg press using a resistance band. Now, I know what you might be thinking. A resistance band? That flimsy little thing? But I need you to listen carefully because what's happening inside your muscle fibers when you use a resistance band is dramatically different from what happens during a walk around the block. When you walk, your legs are working against a relatively constant and low-level load. The resistance never truly challenges the deep muscle fibers, the type 2 fibers that are actually responsible for power, stability, and fall prevention. After age 65, research from Tufts University shows that most people have already lost up to 30% of their type 2 muscle fibers. By 75, that number climbs to nearly 50%. These are the fibers that catch you when you trip. They're the fibers that push you up from a chair, and walking simply does not recruit them in any meaningful way. The seated resistance band leg press changes that entirely. You sit in a firm chair, loop the band around your foot, and hold the ends at your hips and press your leg forward against the resistance. It sounds gentle, but done with benefits of this powerful exercise, intentional slow movement, specifically a 3C second on push and a 4C second on return. You are forcing your nervous system to fire those deep type 2 fibers. A study in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research found 62% greater type 2 fiber activation compared to brisk walking. I had a patient named Margaret, 71 years old from Boise, Idaho. She came to me after her third near fall in 6 months. She was a daily walker, 4 miles every morning without fail, but her legs were giving out anyway, and she couldn't understand why. We added seated resistance band leg presses, and within 8 weeks, her single leg strength had improved by 38%. She told me, "I feel like I have new legs." For this exercise, I recommend starting with a light band, performing 2 sets of 10 repetitions per leg, 3 days per week. Always pair it with a small meal containing at least 20 grams of protein within 30 minutes of finishing because aging muscles are harder to stimulate into growth. This is called anabolic resistance. The protein timing helps override that resistance dramatically. At number 4, we have the standing calf raise with heel elevation. Now, I want you to imagine your calves as the heart of your legs. Muscles targeted by the movement. Every time your calf muscle contracts, it pushes blood back up towards your heart against gravity. As we age, this pumping mechanism weakens, leading to swelling, poor circulation, and increased fall risk. The calf is functional survival tissue. Research from the University of Pittsburgh found that adults over 65 who perform daily calf raises reduced their fall risk by 34% within 12 weeks. More importantly, they improved ankle proprioception, your body's ability to sense where your foot is in space. This is critical on uneven surfaces. Stand behind a sturdy chair. Hold lightly for balance. Place the balls of your feet on a low step so your heels hang slightly below the surface. Now rise up as high as possible. Hold for 2 full seconds at the top and lower yourself slowly for 4 seconds. This extended range is the real driver of adaptation. A study from Sweden found that heel-elevated calf raises produced 41% more mitochondrial activity. Think of it like upgrading the engine in a car. I recommend 2 to 3 sets of 15 step-by-step exercise demonstration repetitions per day. Do them in the morning right after breakfast and pair them with 10 minutes of light ankle circles. Seniors over 70 should start with flat calf raises and only add the heel elevation after 4 weeks of consistent practice. Now, before we move to the top 3, please take 2 seconds and hit that subscribe button below and give this video a thumbs up. Your support makes my mission possible. At number 3, we have the wall sit with isometric hold. This exercise looks almost embarrassingly simple. You slide your back down a wall until your thighs are parallel to the floor as if you're sitting in an invisible chair and you hold that position. That's it. But what's happening inside is remarkable. Isometric exercise produces a unique hormonal and neurological response that walking simply cannot replicate. A study from McMaster University found that isometric contractions produced a 78% increase in neuromuscular activation compared to walking. Nearly double the electrical signal to your legs. Aging doesn't just shrink muscles, it severs the neural pathways. The wall sit rebuilds the communication highway between your brain and your legs. I want to tell you about Robert, 76 years old from Savannah, Georgia. He was a former coach, devastated when his legs began failing him at 74. He came to me, unable proper form and technique to stand from a deep chair without pushing off with both hands. We implemented wall sits building from 15 to 90 seconds. At 12 weeks, Robert stood from that same chair with no hands 3 times in a row. He cried. I almost cried. These moments are why I do what I do. Begin with 15 seconds and build by 5 seconds each week. Goal 90 seconds. Do this once in the morning and once in the early evening called session splitting. Pair this with magnesium glycinate in the evening. Magnesium is essential for muscle relaxation, and 68% of seniors are deficient. It's often a fixable deficiency. Coming in at number 2, we have the single leg step up with a slow descent. The majority of fall-related injuries do not happen during the going up phase. They happen during the going down phase, descending stairs, or stepping off a curb. This is called an eccentric contraction. Research from Harvard shows it is the single greatest predictor of fall survival. Strong control makes you 63% less likely to suffer injury. Stand in front of a solid step with one hand on a railing for support. Step up with one foot. Now, here is the critical part. Lower yourself back down using only that same common mistakes to avoid leg as slowly as you possibly can. Count 5 full seconds during that descent. Fight gravity the entire way. This eccentric loading produces microtrauma, the healthy damage that triggers rebuilding. MRI University found this produces 91% greater muscle protein synthesis. Perform 2 sets of 8 slow descents per leg 3 times per week. If a step is too challenging, use a thick book for a smaller elevation. The key is the slow descent. Synergy tip: consume a leucine-rich protein source, eggs or whey, within 45 minutes. Leucine triggers the mTOR pathway with 60% greater efficiency in aging muscle. I had a patient named Dorothy, 82. She had a hip replacement and was convinced her days of using stairs were over. She almost missed her granddaughter's wedding. Within 14 weeks of step-up training, Dorothy climbed those wedding stairs. She danced at that reception. That story lives in my heart every single day. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the #1 single exercise that strengthens your legs faster than walking by a margin that is almost difficult to believe. Number 1 is the Bulgarian split squat performed. How often seniors should do it with body weight only and a slow, controlled tempo. You may have seen this in a gym and thought it looks terrifying, but I am going to reframe this for you. This is the single most powerful thing a human over 60 can do. It is a unilateral exercise, one leg at a time with your rear foot elevated on a couch or chair. Front foot planted 2 to 3 feet in front. Lower your body straight down. The magic is in 3 simultaneous actions: eccentric loading, hip flexor lengthening, and single leg balance training. It mirrors every movement that prevents falls. A study from the Australian Institute of Sport found that the split squat group showed 312% greater improvement in single leg strength compared to walkers. 312%. They also showed a 58% reduction in falls and a 51% improvement in sit-stand time, a powerful predictor of longevity. The references are in the description. Let me explain the physiology. This exercise loads a single leg with your entire body weight, triggering a rise in IGF-1, the primary anabolic hormone in older adults. Its balance and stability benefits also addresses shortened hip flexors from decades of sitting, which destabilizes the lower body. This exercise stretches and strengthens them simultaneously. To begin, place one foot back on your couch. Hold a wall or door frame for balance. There is no shame in that. Begin by lowering just an inch or two. Truly, just a small dip. Let me tell you about Frank, 68. He assumed his legs were fine, but he was gripping furniture to walk. He lived in dread of a hip fracture like his parents. In 6 months of basic split squats, Frank hiked 4 miles in the Sandia Mountains with his grandchildren. He sent me this photo from the summit. Frank is my why. Perform these 3 non-consecutive days per week. Afternoon is best when your body temperature is higher, reducing injury risk by 22%. Warm up first. Final synergy tip: combine this with 5 grams of creatine monohydrate daily. Research shows seniors gain 223% more lean muscle using creatine with resistance exercise. I want to speak to you directly. Your legs are not failing because of age alone. They are responding to the signals or improving circulation. Naturally, absence of signals you have been giving them. These exercises send a signal. We still need this body. We still have life to live. And your body will respond. I've seen it in patients in their 90s. To understand why resistance is mandatory, we must look at sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass. It's not just getting weaker. It's the shrinking of your physical foundation. Between age 40 and 80, you can lose up to 40% of your total muscle mass if you only walk. This silent decline is what leads to the chair-trapped lifestyle I help my patients avoid. There's a biological process called glycation. I call it internal caramelization. High sugar and seed oil intake causes your tendons and muscles to become sticky and brittle like peanut brittle. When your tendons are brittle, they can't absorb the shock of a stumble. This is why we must focus on high-density nutrition alongside these 5 movements. Start with vitamin D3 in the form of cholecalciferol paired with vitamin K2 as MK7. This duo ensures calcium goes to your bones and muscles, not your arteries. Next is vitamin B12. I recommend the methylcobalamin form, building stronger knees and hips, ideally taken sublingually. This supports the neural pathways we're rebuilding with the wall sit. For those sticky joints, 10 to 15 grams of hydrazine collagen peptides with vitamin C can help rebuild the connective tissue that supports your leg strength. We also need to talk about nitric oxide. Ingredients like fermented soy and amla berries boost your vascular repair cycles, ensuring blood gets to those working muscles. Timing is everything. Training in the late afternoon aligns with your body's peak temperature and hormonal state, making your efforts 20% more effective. And 30 minutes before bed, a glass of golden milk with turmeric and ginger helps manage the healthy inflammation from your workout, speeding up recovery. This isn't just my opinion. This is based on Nobel Prize-winning research into chronobiology and autophagy, the way your cells clean themselves out. When you perform the Bulgarian split squat, you're triggering emphagy, essentially recycling old, tired mitochondria for fresh, high-energy ones. We distance ourselves from pharmaceutical fixes and focus on the biological mechanisms that your body already possesses. We're just giving it real-life mobility improvements the right signals. Improved leg circulation isn't just about feeling better. It's about preventing the deep vein issues that plague so many seniors. Your joints are designed to last 100 years, but only if the muscles surrounding them are strong enough to take the load. These 5 exercises are your insurance policy. The difference between a senior who is mobile at 90 and one who isn't is often just 10 minutes of targeted movement a day. Consistency beats intensity every time. Take Sandra, 64. She suffered from peanut brittle tendons. Internal glycation was robbing her of flexibility and making every step a gamble. By combining hydrazine collagen peptides with our Step Up protocol, she regained 40% of her range of motion in just 6 weeks. Her body was simply waiting for the right nutrients. Michael, 81, struggled with heavy, swollen legs. His venous pump, the heart of the legs we discussed, was barely firing. Walking wasn't enough to clear the fluid. Daily calf raises and fermented soy transformed his circulation. The swelling vanished because he fixed the underlying modifications for beginners' biological mechanism. Michael reclaimed his daily walks with ease. I call this the silent millionaire strategy of health. Consistency is like compound interest. 10 minutes a day on your legs is the most valuable investment you will ever make. You can't turn back the clock, but you can certainly wind it up again. Your biology is waiting for your instruction. Let's give it the best signals possible. You don't need a gym membership or expensive machines. You just need your own body weight, a chair, and the willingness to start today. Consider this 20-minute masterclass your fall shield, a protective barrier built of muscle, nerve connections, and high-density nutrition. Now let's bring it all together. From the seated press to the split squat, you now have the ultimate blueprint for leg longevity. Your independence is waiting for you to claim it. Please subscribe if you want real evidence-based info specifically, creating a daily routine for the aging body. Hit that notification bell, share this with someone you love, and leave a comment right now. Which of these 5 exercises are you going to start with this week? You matter more than you